The state decides which ideas are correct. It uses its power to impose an official ideology. Dissent is treated as resistance. Institutions like the civil service, judiciary, police, and free press are facades for the exercise of state power. Media, academia, organised religion, the justice system, banking, and finance are used to retain power. Power is concentrated with an elite. Social traditions and culture are swept away by the new ideology. The social fabric of society is weakened as a result. Participation in an approved ideology is encouraged and then required. Individualism, true diversity of thought and freedom are replaced by mass conformity to beliefs and behaviours sanctioned by the state. A totalitarian state relies on force to suppress all opposition. And in the end, as seen in countries mentioned, Russia, China, North Korea, Saudi Arabia, eventually large-scale violence and assassination become permissible to achieve their goals. Now, if you think that's nonsense, and if you think it only applies to me, you need to keep watching.
They are protesters from the controversial Just Stop Oil group.
Get out, mate, come on.
How long are you going to stay here for?
Thank you.
Whoa, children! This is what you get when you're a football fan. And yet when they march down with hundreds of Palestinian flags, you won't say a word. Stay, you're going to get arrested. You are quite openly
Why, when it's us, they ask the police?
to establish what you're doing or what you're up to.
Two-tier policing. Yeah. Two-tier policing.
That's right. You can climb on monuments, you can vandalise them, you can block the streets while praying to Allah. You can glue yourself to the road, and the police will protect you and bring you water. You can surround the police, and they'll release their prisoner. But
Racist! You're not in Palestine. You're not in Palestine. You're in England. They're racist. Yes, they are. Yeah.
They have a right to protest.
And I have a right to stand on my doorstep. It's my property.
You can't shout
I'm
this
renting.
out
Yes,
there.
I can.
No, you can't.
The idea that calling a bunch of racists racist is in fact a criminal offence. Because the fact of the matter is, when you're shouting from the river to the sea, you are being racist. And when a gentleman stands on his own front doorstep and shouts out, "You are being racist," then what the police have to do is respect that.
Women and children were raped. They were raped. See? That's what you're doing. Yeah? That's what you're doing. Yes.
You're not
Yeah?
going to win this, mate. You need to stop.
And you're not going to win this. This is
Right.
my property. I live here.
Right, it
They're
doesn't
outside my
matter.
house.
You're in a public
Doesn't
space.
matter.
You're in a public space.
This is my house. I
Doesn't
live here. I
matter.
pay rent.
This is your home.
They asked the gentleman to respect the demonstration. Well, the police are supposed to respect the counter-demonstration, particularly when the counter-demonstration consists of one person standing in their own doorway, posing a threat to nobody. But that's where we're at. The police are making political choices, political decisions. They're allowing one group to chant and scream whatever slogans they like, and then they arrest or threaten with arrest counter-protest. That can't be right, and it gives us another clue, yet again, of which side the police favour.
Sorry? Why are you allowing anti-Semitic comments to go on?
I'm not getting involved.
You're a police officer. You're a police officer.
Yeah, I can see that.
So why are you not holding the British laws?
They're allowed to have a protest.
So they're allowed to say from the river to the sea, Palestine to be free.
They're allowed to have a protest, yeah.
They're allowed to say that.
As far as I'm aware, yes.
Yeah, you've not been told that there's certain slogans that are anti-Semitic.
Alright, I'm done with this conversation.
You don't have the right to speak in the UK. We've seen online censorship. This is now offline censorship, where an individual police officer decides what is acceptable and what is not.
We'll find some Tuesday. You want the Zionists, you want the blood.
what we're saying now, and I'm making it very clear so everyone understands. If those dogs come close to us again, we will see it as an act of aggression, and we will kill those dogs. We'll put them down.
We saw Hamas supporters shouting death to Jews, saying that Hitler was right, calling for a genocide in Israel. They were left alone. The mainstream media deemed it a peaceful protest. The police didn't touch them.
Thousands of people take to the streets following the massacre of Jewish people, the single largest loss of Jewish life since the Holocaust, chanting for the erasure of Israel from the map. To my mind, there's only one way to describe those marches. They are hate marches.
You cannot wave the Union Jack.
Arresting an Englishman for flying a Union Jack when there's people here literally tacitly supporting the October 7th.
You cannot preach the Christian gospel.
If you make members of the public harassment, alarm, distress, it's a criminal offence.
I'm aware of that. Yeah, so that's what we're not really doing that. What we're doing is about preaching our religion. You asked me what I've been preaching, so we've been preaching about the gospel of Jesus Christ.
And closer to home for me, you cannot work as a journalist if the government doesn't like your views or your reporting.
I'm here at work. That this has got nothing to do with your role as a journalist.
But I'm here at work.
Your presence here is causing alarm and distress.
And you don't
if you do not leave without a refund, I will come in and I'll make sure you.
What I saw from that demonstration, Tommy being arrested for wanting to report, is a huge intrusion of police powers into journalistic freedom. He was pepper sprayed, arrested with 30 police officers, a overreach of their power on a single individual journalist that simply wanted to tell a story.
You only have to look at the way Tommy was treated by the police and see how different it is from the treatment that gets given to jihadis or Islamists or extremists or people who actually want to hurt our country. You want to hurt our country, hurt England, my home, you get treated with kid gloves. You want to stand up for our country, stand up for our culture, and you get battered to within an inch of your life. You get pepper sprayed in the face and you get treated like you're scum.
I think what happened with Tommy was very scary for your average Brit to see someone turn up quietly having their breakfast and the overwhelming police response to that, then to be cuffed and to be maced in the face, I think is a sign of a fearful police force. You know, if they're going to do it to him and these figures that stand in front of people and stand for people, then they will do it to you.
I think that there's a particular paradigm in place that renders some people on the inside and some people on the outside, and our lad Tommy is of course on the outside, and so he will get treated in ways that other people who may be equally or more divisive won't be treated, ever. I went down to the Cenotaph on Remembrance Sunday to pray for our fallen, to pray for the servicemen who have died for our freedoms, to protect these so-called liberties, and I was cast as far right, along with people like Tommy Robinson, who were also down there. So what does that tell us? Well, the police came and they kettled us, they cordoned us off, and the mainstream media painted us as far right. So the media, the police, and the government are against certain demographics, and the other demographics get away with whatever the heck they like.
England didn't want the Jews. England didn't want Jewish people in their country.
What are you guys up to? We're just putting up flags.
Putting up flags.
We come to police more or less every single time. As we tell them, we're putting up the flags in solidarity with the Palestinian people.
Let's think about flags and emblems for a minute. It seems absolutely fine if you want to walk down the street carrying a banner that says Free Palestine. But if you're raising and following and flying and celebrating a St. George's Cross, for instance, then even though it may be entirely legal, the police see you as being on the wrong side of history. They see you as being on the racist side of history. Again, that's so disrespectful of us as a nation.
For the moment, anything racist or even close to racism is said. Let me finish. For the moment, anything gets anything close to that, all right, people are going to start getting arrested.
You can hold it, you can wave it.
It's just we don't stop causing any sort of issues with the barriers. Have your flags just not on the barriers. That's it.
And yet, when they march down with hundreds of Palestinian flags, you won't say a word.
One just went past hanging out of the car. You never see fuck all.
There's way more of them than there is of us.
That's right. They tell you the ISIS flag isn't the ISIS flag.
The solution is jihad by the armies of the Muslim countries.
Calling for jihad on the streets of Britain isn't calling for holy war. And beaming anti-Semitic, genocidal slogans onto Parliament, that's fine as well.
I spoke to the police a minute ago over there, and they said it is an offence to do that. I don't know the particular law. It's an offence. Stop it. But they're not.
And this is something I've been warning about for 20 years. There's a two-tier system across this country, one rule for them, another rule for us. It needs to change.
Well, there's a two-tier system. The rule of law has got to be implemented equally across all communities. When I'm talking about the two-tier policing system, it seems to be for the Muslim community.
Many people have lost their jobs or their promotions for speaking their mind. And Lee Anderson lost his job for telling us what we all know, that the capital streets have been handed over to Islamic mob rule.
I don't actually believe that these Islamists have got control of our country, but what I do believe is they've got control of Khan and they've got control of London. And again, this stems with Khan. He's actually given our capital city away to his mates. Beware, because if you let Labour in through the back door, expect more of this and expect our cities to be taken over by these lunatics.
We have allowed our streets to be dominated by Islamist extremists and British Jews and others to be too intimidated to walk through central London week after week. And now we're allowing Islamist extremists to intimidate British members of Parliament. This is wrong. It has to stop. Would my right honourable friend organise a debate on extremism and how we tackle this challenge, which is one of the central issues facing our generation?
Again, this is nothing new. In 2011, an imam from the East London Mosque told the Metropolitan Police I was not allowed to march through Tower Hamlets on a charity walk for a dying child. The night before the walk, Scotland Yard warned me as I was not to enter Tower Hamlets. I was assaulted on the border of Tower Hamlets in front of the police.
The violent mob. Shouldn't you be dealing with the violent mob? Not people expressing it. How far am I supposed to be just what? You want to just fucking get out of it? What are you doing? Hey, fucking
Get back. Arrest him for assault. 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 That's all on camera, so arrest him for assault. How come he hasn't been handcuffed? How come he hasn't been handcuffed? How come he hasn't been handcuffed? Why have you got your hands on us?
Because I am going to be arresting you.
You're going to arrest me? You're going to arrest us for doing a charity walk?
Explain why.
So now we're getting arrested.
Actually, look what happened. The two police stepped back, two unidentified men, probably undercover police, step in and assault me. I didn't react, but I was arrested. I was sent to trial. I was given bail conditions that banned me from entering the borough of Tower Hamlets for 9 months. No evidence. It was kicked out. It's lawfare. You see, in a totalitarian state, the police operate outside the constraints of the law. Their actions are purposely unpredictable to destabilise those of us, any of you, with the wrong kind of views. And they lie. They continuously lie.
You're stitching him up! You're stitching him up!
The police said I was carrying an offensive weapon. They fabricate a reason to arrest me. They detain me, they take me to the police station. As soon as I'm there, they drop the case of an offensive weapon. Then they look for something else to arrest me on. Breaching coronavirus regulations. No joke. Again, no evidence. Kicked out. lawfare?
I think democracy can't function with two-tiered policing. I think a two-tiered justice system and a two-tiered policing system is a existential threat to democracy.
Once that trust's broken down, it's extremely corrosive for community relations and leads to a lot of resentment, and it diminishes the law in itself.
We need to look at a police officer and not have a clue where the political allegiance lies. Now, we can't do that when they adopt the symbols of certain political groups. When they put a rainbow epaulet on their shoulder, or when they turn a police car into a rainbow car, we know which side of the political divide they are on. When they take a soft approach to pro-Palestinian marching and a hard approach on those who protest it, we know which side of the political divide the police are on. And we need to have no idea which side the police are on. In any matter, it's the police's job to uphold the law. That is it.
Another key feature of a totalitarian state is a politicised judiciary. In fact, in a totalitarian state, all the elements of the state are there to create an appearance of a fair process, when in fact they are a facade of fairness and due process. They are there for the state, not the people, and they are used to advance the causes of the state, however malign or misguided the cause might be. You see, Sam Mellier was imprisoned for 2 years for putting up stickers that said immigration had destroyed Great Britain. Bunny Crean was in prison for 2 years for putting a bacon sandwich outside a mosque. He died in jail during that sentence. While at the same time, 3 women who were found guilty of terror offences weren't even fined. They were given a conditional discharge, totally let off. A Muslim abuser, Adil Rashid, he was convicted of raping a 13-year-old child. He was let off because he wasn't aware that wasn't allowed, because he'd been brought up under the influence of Sharia. Ignorance apparently is an excuse. A recent Newcastle grooming gang, one of them was let off with a community order for raping children. He raped children. He too was let off. Just like the two-tier policing, we have a politicised two-tier judiciary, where the law is not actually the law. The law is whatever the judge decides it is based on who's sitting in front of them. And perhaps most galling for me personally,
how are you feeling about the verdict?
Oh, suck your mum's funny.
You've got no guilt. Is there any guilt? Is there any guilt, mate? Is there any guilt?
back in 2018, I was imprisoned for reporting outside Leeds Crown Court at the end of a trial of now convicted child rapists. But watch this.
We grant the extension of time in respect of the finding of contempt in Leeds Crown Court and allow the appeal against that finding for the detailed reasons set out in the judgment, essentially because the process was flawed.
That's right. It was found to be an unlawful imprisonment.
Well, Mr. Lennon, from ITV Matthew Hudson, just planning on talking to us.
Do you know, can I tell you something? Yeah. I face a contempt charge, yeah? For doing exactly what you just done to me now. Exactly identical to what you just done to me.
Clearly I can't comment on that.
No, exactly. I'm being prosecuted by exactly what you've just done. I'm facing charge.
I still spent 3 months on solitary confinement before being released. So the public had seen them falsely imprison me. So they had to get me. They took me back to the Old Bailey twice and eventually convicted me again on contempt of court, which I did not commit, by the way. And they gave me another 10 months in prison. So 13 months and then 10 months for asking now convicted paedophiles, how do you feel about your sentence?
What's the difference between what I did and what you did?
You've now been found in contempt of court. You lost your chance to be an MEP. Do you think the myth of Tommy Robinson has just been burst now?
You don't care, do you? You don't care that people's freedoms have been taken away. You don't care that a judicial system has just prosecuted someone because of who they are, not what they've done. You don't care, do you? You're a journalist. Do you not care about people's freedoms to report?
What do you get for contempt of court? The Daily Mail, the Daily Mirror actually collapsed the trial of Levi Belfield for the rape and murder of the child Millie Dowler. Contempt of court. Same. They were fined. Rod Liddell, whilst writing for The Spectator, he actually collapsed the Stephen Lawrence murder trial.
The Spectator magazine is being prosecuted for breaching reporting restrictions during the trial of Stephen Lawrence's killers. Gary Dobson and David Norris were described as disgusting racists in an article written by Rod Liddell while the Old Bailey trial was underway. The magazine is accused of breaching a court order preventing prejudicial material being published before jurors reached verdicts.
What was his punishment? A fine. See, we have a politicised judiciary.
We have spent £115,000 so far fighting this case. We have received no legal aid. The Muslim paedophiles from the Rochdale grooming case were given £1 million of our money to fight that case. The court ordered that those paedophiles would be deported when they're released from prison. Those paedophiles are still walking around the streets of our country.
And bringing it back to my arrest in November last year, it's important to understand the process is the punishment. I had to go to court 7 times, and every time I had to go, it cost me thousands of pounds. My freedom was taken. My ability to work was taken from me. The cost was £60,000. And what was the outcome? The arrest was unlawful. The bail conditions were unlawful. The entire thing was unlawful. Police officers lied in their statements, fabricated paperworks. They lost all their body-worn video footage. That's right, every police officer you see with a body camera on, they all lost it. The dog ate my homework, Your Honour. So have we won? Or have they won? They physically attacked me. They pepper sprayed me. They banned me from my capital city for 6 months. They financially bleed me. The point I want people to understand is I've just said I've won, yeah? Have we won? Do we have freedom? For the last 6 months, I've been banned from entering my capital city. Whilst jihadists have took over our capital city week in, week out, with the grace of the police allowing them to, I've had my restrictions, my right to a family life. I even went to court to ask if I could take my children to the Christmas lights turn on, and I was refused that opportunity. For the last 6 months, I've had to go to a Muslim police officer and ask permission to come into my own capital city, of which one of the meetings was to interview a member of parliament. That Muslim police officer refused that request. That is a police state. That is not freedom. What's been ruled on is that the arrest was unlawful, pepper spraying was unlawful. They arrested me on my daughter's birthday. Yeah? On my daughter's birthday, that's now unlawful. Their bail conditions are unlawful. This is about lawfare. The process is the punishment.
Our eyes have been opened because of the internet age. We can see precisely what's going on before they spin it. And then we can compare the narratives of the true events that we saw with our own eyes versus what they want us to believe.
And there's always more rules. Rules that superficially sound reasonable enough. Non-crime hate speech. No one wants hate, right? But those rules are simply weaponised to silence people again. And the people with the wrong kind of views.
In Russia last year, 400 people were arrested for things that they said on social media. 400 people in Russia. Obviously, this country is very different. How many people do you think were arrested in Britain for things they said on social media last year?
Go on.
Take a guess.
I have no idea.
3,300.
Really? Arrested for what they'd said on social media?
Yeah.
Much of this current obsession by the police with what we say and think, even in the privacy of our own homes, even on social media, even as banter amongst friends, is based on this thing called the Allport scale. Now, the Allport scale was written by a psychologist in the 1950s to show where genocide comes from. And he has a 5-step program, if you like, which begins with contrary speech. So if you, as I did, retweeted somebody else's limerick, and the political content of that limerick was anti-trans, as it was when I